Okay, balik po tayo. Ay, Kuya Lito, maiba usapan. I understand you are a supporter of federalism and parliamentary forms of government.
Yes. Like where we were during the 2005 Constitutional Commission.
Kasama kami sa Chacha noon.
Kasama tayo noon. What we wanted first is to shift from the unitary system of government to parliamentary federal.
Okay.
Akin naman is the same. Except what we did at the time is that first we go parliamentary, then federal.
Okay.
But it doesn't mean that it's exclusively. Because at the same time, while you are doing parliamentary, you are already doing also federal.
What you are doing, if you go to the parliamentary, what you're doing is preparing the groundwork
Exactly.
for the shift to the federal form of government. Okay. When you talk of parliamentary, what exactly are you trying to say that you are in favor of, and what are some of the preconditions that might be needed to make that transition as painless as possible?
Okay, good. It's very good you ask this question because I look at 4 preconditions. Okay, the first precondition is political party reform.
Naku, wala naman tayong tunay na political party rito. Yun ang
Exactly.
problema
Wala tayong
dito.
tunay na wala tayong tunay na political party.
Oh.
But then we are trying to really come up. You know, we have a lot of bills in Congress which have been there, archived now over the years during the time of FDR pa. Because you need to have political party reform. Because really, what is a political party?
No, kasi ang political party rito is convenience only of the one running for
Exactly.
president.
That's why you have to change that by law.
Nabibili yung mga partido eh.
That's why papalitan yan by law. Sabi ko nga, before even the
Anong change ang
Constitution.
tingin mong mangyayari doon?
By law. For example, sabihin natin in Germany, for example, if you change your party to another party before 1 year, you lose your membership in the party and even you lose the elected position. You do that by law.
Hindi ka pwedeng lumipat na walang halaga at no cost.
Oh, at no cost. So it has because for you. So, wala na yung mga political butterfly. Di ba?
Yung bigla ang palit.
Yung bigla ang palit, no? Because a political party is supposed to aggregate, Ray. I-aggregate mo yung ideas and the ideology of a certain segment of society and give them the chance to choose.
Okay.
Diba? Now, number 1. Yeah.
Pangalawa?
Kasama pa dyan ang subsidy. Government should subsidize political party reform also. So that
But are the rules for that subsidy, because can any party become
no, there are rules. There are rules.
Sinasabi ko.
So ang lalabas lang niya is that there will be only about maybe 2, 3, or 4 parties. Based on may complication, may formula yan, no? So that the subsidy will be used towards the development of the party and for party to run, for party mates to run without using their own money. So one, political party form. The second is, ito mas mahirap ito, the banning of political dynasties. You know, under the Constitution, we have, under the 87, mayroon na tayo. But then we put it,
passed the law.
because it is priced as provided for by law. And who does the law? 80% to 90% of the members of Congress are members of political dynasty. So they will not pass it. So the solution there is to put it in Congress, to put it in the Constitution and make it self-executory.
Or at least define it
Define it very well.
very well instead of deliberately leaving it to Congress to define.
Congress will not catch it on the road, di ba? So the third is the Freedom of Information Bill, which is going to be total and expansive. Because you have to know, Kagaya sa United States, Canada, you can, except for problems of security, malaman mo na kagad kung saan yung mga contract dito,
This
contract
freedom
doon.
of this fake news bill that they passed inhibits that.
Exactly. That's why I've said we have to have a real freedom of information bill.
Well, it makes me begin to question because that was just signed into law,
Yes, but
passed by the Congress and the Senate. Then what makes you say that they will ever want that in what you are saying.
That's why we want the president to reach this to the president because, the so-called vaunted political will of the president, okay? Gagamitin natin yun.
Ba't niya pinirmahan?
Alam mo na kasi, sabi ko na sa iyo, he has a lot of lousy, people behind him. Well, I don't know. But going back to the fourth is electoral reforms. See? So, apat lang yan eh.
Okay, what electoral reforms are you talking
For
about?
example, the COMELEC should no longer handle quasi-judicial problems, pati ito to the judiciary. Di ba?
No, well, not only that, also, but the method by which they conduct elections and make their proclamations sucks.
Yeah, it sucks, see? Now, you can...
Lagayan ang nangyayari.
Exactly, that's why, come up with good laws on that. So, itong apat, yan ang aking preconditions. Now, we go to our stage. We have several stages. The first stage really is starting today. The president should already compose the 25-man commission, consultative commission to help him think this through. Di ba? And so we can input, us like people, ordinary people, can input into the 25-man commission and then present it to the president. So that's the first stage. So that by February of 2019, we can have a plebiscite for ratification.
Okay.
Di ba?
Hopefully. But before we go ahead, we just want to attend to some of these texts, 0936-573-4233. Ako po ay nagtataka na ang mga taga-Luzon ay magrarally na itigil ang martial law. Kung pwede lang sana po yung magrarally dyan, ipadala sa marami para doon sila maubos. Salamat po, sir.
This guy is a very frustrated guy, but he is trying to bare his soul. I agree with you.
Alam mo, sabi nga nila, don't criticize the Indian unless you've walked at least 2 miles,
2
in his
miles
moccasins.
in his moccasins.
Alam po ninyo, this is some of the weak elements of freedom of expression. There are going to be some opinions that are, of course, going to be wrong.
Exactly.
Wala kang magagawa doon. O ito, 0935-412-6943. Good evening po, sir. Nanonood po ako ngayon. Super safe po kami ngayon kasi 10 p.m. pa lang. Wala nang tao sa nagpalakad-lakad sa mga kalsada.
See? So these are some of the, maybe what we call the peace dividends or the dividends of martial law. Okay?
Can we not adopt some of those elements without declaring martial law? Like, for example, curfew.
Yes, in Davao we had that already. Even before martial law, we had curfew already.
Lalo na sa mga kabataan.
Kaya sa drinking, no more drinking. Yung maganda ako sa akin yan.
Sinasabi ni Duterte na titigil yung drinking sa karsada.
I go for that. I go for that. 100% ako dyan. You know, these are some of the things which a mayor like Duterte learned to do well in Davao. And now he is trying to transfer that in the national, okay? Pero paminsan, there are things which you as a mayor have been doing well, but may not be able to do well in the national when it comes to, let's say, geopolitics. Okay? Mga ganon. Pero that is another topic later on.
All right, 0907-989-2548 from Manny T. Alfonso, Polymath Society. Our country is more than 30 years behind in terms of development. We used to be number 2 next to Japan. After President Marcos was unseated, all development stopped and we fell backward to the abyss of lawlessness. Nasaan na ba tayo after ng EDSA 1? Ayun.
Well, EDSA 1 is a promise. Well, I was part of, we were part of that, okay? I was, became cabinet member during the time of Cory. But, you know, these were promises that a lot of those were not fulfilled. But you cannot blame Cory for this. Cory already at the start, he said that, I'm just a housewife, right? And ang gusto ko lang ibalik ang demokrasya. So, he has that very, and besides, Cory was a daughter of the elite. Okay? And her values are therefore of the elite. So you cannot blame her if she inculcates into her acts the things of the elite.
Question that asks you, do you want a president who inculcates or tries to inculcate the value of the uneducated?
Mahirap din yan. That's crazy. Diba?
Kanya, sasabihin mo, alam mo, the problem here is yung mga nakapag-aral siya are being branded personality-wise. Elite, hindi ka pwede. And I think that is a great disservice to a lot of Filipinos that may be poor but think well and have educated themselves.
Yeah, exactly. But I have not attacked those educated ones. I will say, I take my hats off to those that has yung inangat nila sarili nila.
Kanya lang.
Diba?
She also started and set the example for a revolutionary government.
Oh, yeah.
When she declared herself a revolutionary government.
Well, it was the call of the times, okay? After the so-called EDSA revolution, there was a shift, a tectonic shift, okay, in governance. And all of a sudden, we found ourselves being replaced. Like, I became a secretary, undersecretary. I was just in business before, di ba? But then all of a sudden, I had to go into public service.
So naghahanap sila ng mga taong matitino sana na pwedeng mapagkatiwalaan.
Oh, yan nga. Pero this is what's still a tectonic shift because we weren't part of the bureaucracy then. Okay? So, it was necessary to declare at that time a revolutionary government ad interim. Okay? In the process. But at the same time, she decided, and yan ang gusto ko kay Rolly, she decided to rule also within the confines of a revolutionary constitution. Okay? After which she asks 50 good people to write the Constitution of 1987, which we are trying to correct, to revise.
At the 2021 other extreme.
The other extreme lang. Because as a reaction to martial law, Cory
wanted to make sure it's never repeated.
Yeah, so she went on the other extreme, okay? But now after
so many years,
then nakikita natin na maybe it's right time now, and really high time now, to revise this Constitution. Okay?
For being too reactive.
Yes.
All right, 0949-720-2149. Federalism has also a danger despite of its access by bringing the government closer to the people. Giving them enough power and resources may opt people in the government to abuse it. Although there is a big difference in the delivery of government services under the federal form of government. Okay, pero pinag-usapan po natin ngayon muna for the moment. We will get to, I hope we have time for the rest of it, and that's a question
First,
mark.
I want to go into parliamentary muna.
Parliamentary muna.
Government muna. That's why the second stage is, assuming in 2019, we have already passed the plebiscite, ratified. So in 2020, we will have our first parliamentary government, okay? Where the head of government is the Prime Minister and the head of state is the President. And in our proposal, in the centrist, we call it the centrist proposal, the head of state or the President is not going to be elected universally. He is going to be elected
by the parliament.
And has a term of 5 years. Now,
well, the same thing with the Prime Minister.
The Prime Minister. But the Prime Minister can only be kicked out kung mayroong
vote of no confidence.
Kung wala, patuloy.
In other words, walang limitation yan, but you can still have a 5-year limit.
Yes.
For mandatory elections.
Mandatory elections. After that,
but if there is a vote of no confidence and that government falls, you can have another election, right?
Another election.
The Prime Minister can call it.
Oh, yes, of course. But the important thing is, a lot of the beliefs now, yung karamihan nila is that we need to have a presidential election. The president should be elected. I disagree with that. Because one of the sources really of corruption is the voting in of a patron.
Well, that's a question that we have to take a look at. Even in the States, they have that problem.
Yeah.
No? In other words, in the States, they had the wisdom to create the college.
Electoral college.
The electoral college, because they realized that if not, it will be simply a matter of populism. And popularity. And not necessarily the competence. So kung sino magaling umarte dyan although now the papers have come out that said that Hillary Clinton is proposing the abolition of the electoral college.
Natamaan siya. She won the popular vote, di ba? By 3 million. So anyway, in this proposal namin, I don't want the president elected because, if you elect the president, well, how much do you spend to elect the president? Universally.
Ay,
Billions.
Naku, pagdala niya, billions.
Not only that, so you open an aperture to the so-called oligarchy or to those who are manipulating things to put in their dirty little fingers to manipulate this. Yan ang problema. Okay?
Well, except that ngayon, pagka sa parliamentary system kasi na sinasabi mo, maski na ikaw ay dirty at marami kang pera, iisa ka pa lang. The others, you don't have more votes than the others.
Yeah.
Now, of course, that does not mean that in a parliamentary system, there can be no corruption.
Yeah, there will
always
the
be.
corruption is a problem of system too. But alam mo, ang parliamentary system, it's easier for them to corrupt, it's a self-cleaning thing. Because a political party, if it is done right, that's where we have political party development. Once you develop a political party, people will vote already for the political party, not for the individuals. The individual actors, the individual fighters, the individual celebrities. You vote now for the idea. You vote now for a political party. Yan ang ating habol dyan.
In other words, dito kailangan intelligent voting.
Yes, and though intelligent voting, in order to produce intelligent voting, you come up with the massive education. Di ba?
Well, mga contemporary efforts yan na kailangan natin
At the same
gawin.
time yan, di ba? They have to do things at the same time. A lot of things
In
at the
other
same
words,
time.
okay, if I might conclude it, because we don't have any time anymore, Kuya Lito, your first bet is muna tayo, mag-parliamentary system
Parliamentary,
tayo.
but at the same time,
Preparing the ground
you have already
for a federal system.
For a federal system, which was in federal system, provinces have to negotiate with each other. Like for example, Panay does not want to go with Negros. And then you have to say, that is the state of Central, Western Visayas. Let them negotiate. Diba?
Sila mismo.
Of course. You cannot impose. That's what we call self-determination.
Kanya
You
lang.
do not impose.
Paano kung mayroong natirang walang gustong sumama?
Then, mayroon tayong formula din yan. So, sayang, we don't have time. But there is a formula there. When 60% already of the country have already negotiated, then we declare a federal states na kayo. But even if you are still at autonomous territory, you can already operate as a state. You can raise your own funds. You can spend your own funds. What you gather in terms of resources, you can maybe use 80% and then maybe give to central government or federal government 20%.
Ang problema dyan is basically the idea. If that lone province, for example, is not economically viable, so your solution is not going to work.
No.
It's no longer economically
Then
viable.
you have a timeline. Let's say
You hope.
2028. No, you put a 2028. Then by Fayat now, yan na. By Fayat, he has to join the richer.
All right,
So
we
it's
have
a formula.
overtime na raw tayo.
Uy,
So we will have to call it an end, and I hope that maybe we can get Kuya Lito back here again to discuss
Yes, we will. I would like to
the
discuss
other
this again.
aspect of it, then that is the federal form of government. All right, but before we end, let's just say we want to thank you for listening, and I hope you were given a better idea of a parliamentary system and how to face it into a federal form of government. And this is what I think is so important, because you cannot take one step and swallow everything.
No, you cannot do that.
So thank you for being with us tonight, and we will see you next week. Thank you so much, Lito. God bless you.